Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our weekly podcast, RAMP, Real Access Motivates Progress. This might be the last show from my old home this week, and then we will be filming from my brand new Habitat for Humanity home in the coming weeks, so make sure that you stay tuned. But we have a great show for you tonight. We have the National Registry of Rehabilitation, Technology, and Supplies. I cannot wait for you to meet these three fabulous ladies and all that they do for our community. So welcome, everybody, and how are you doing this evening?
Great.
I am so excited to have you guys here with me tonight, and I look forward to having a great show with all of you. Let's start with you, Annette, and tell us all a little bit about you and what you do.
Well, I'm Annette Hodges. I'm the Director of Education for NARTS, the National Registry of Rehabilitation Technology Suppliers, and we provide education to wheelchair suppliers, clinicians, occupational therapists, physical therapists, really anyone who's looking for information on seating and positioning, medical terminology, ethics, funding, and also best business practices. We provide courses on those topics. And so I manage that program, and I make sure that our webinars go off at the right time, in the right place, and make sure that people get enrolled in those and sort of troubleshoot if anybody has issues getting into our program, or making sure that they get those orders and get their certificates that they earn after they complete the course.
That is incredible, and you do so much for so many people, and I am so blessed that we were actually able to meet. Amy, why don't you tell us a little bit about you and what you do for the organization? Amy, we can't hear you. Are you on mute? Nope, I still can't hear you yet. Did you switch your USB back from your printing that you were doing earlier? Well, while you're playing with that, let's go to Wheezy. Wheezy, why don't you tell us a little bit about you and what you do, and then we'll come back to Amy.
Okay. First of all, thanks for having us, Tina. My name is Wheezy Walker. I'm the Executive Director of NARTS, and I've had this position now for about 7 years. I was a long-term NARTS registrant, and when I retired, I took over this position. I'm very excited to be here. We are an organization that supports the supplier, the individual, and we know that the services that are provided by our suppliers are very, very important to people who rely on complex rehab technology, and which, if I can define that for you, is anything related to seating, positioning, mobility, and so I think we do a great service for the industry and also for the consumers who use the products.
I think you guys do a fabulous job. Let's try Amy again. Amy, did you get it figured out? Oh, nope, I still can't hear you. We can't hear you, Amy. Amy, why don't you sign out and sign back in, and then we will continue with the conversation. We'll pick it up from you when you come back. Annette, why don't you tell everybody what NARTS stands for and how it all came to be?
Oh, well, you know what? I think Wheezy can talk about that better because she has been with NARTS a lot longer than I have, and she was there at the very beginning. So, Weezy, do you want to talk about that?
Sure. Well, it all started back in 1992, which a group of people were at a seating symposium, and there was a conversation around the fact that the people providing wheelchairs and seating didn't really have an identity. There was no criteria for people who provided those services. And they realized that we needed to have a group to come together to support it. And that's how NARTS got started. It was a voluntary organization, that there was no one required you to be a member, but over the years some states now require it, some insurance companies require it, and a lot of employers support it for their employees. And if you think about it, in the person that cuts your hair has to have a license, and yet, at that time, someone doing seating and wheelchairs could have been selling shoes the day before. So it's sort of an infant profession, you might say, but right now we're working with an organization in Canada, and they are bringing NARTS to Canada. And it's been really exciting because they see also the benefit of having standards. And I touched on consumer protection, and that was really what it was all about. So if someone is working with a supplier and they, for whatever reason are not getting the results that they want or expect, there's a way to file a complaint and have a resolution. And that's one of the most important missions for NARTS. And we today have over 700 registrants in the U.S. And with the addition of Canada, the organization is going to grow significantly into, by the first quarter of next year. So for people that need seating, they can go to narts.org and look at the registry. You can search it by state or by name, and you'll see the people that meet the criteria to be a registrant. A big part of providing good services is continuing education. And as Annette talked about, our education program, and so we offer it to keep people current on technology. Things are changing rapidly. And so this will ensure that you find the person that is doing the continuing education and providing the services that meet our criteria.
That's amazing. What I think a lot of people don't realize is people who utilize wheelchairs, we don't always get to pick what wheelchair we sit in or what features are on our wheelchair or the wheels or the lift, or it's an insurance company that decides what you need and what you need for 24/7. So having a great advocate who's certified in the field just gives you that better comfort that you're going to get the perfect chair for you. Amy, are we working?
I hope so. Can you hear me?
We are. So yes, Amy, you are working.
Awesome.
So tell us a little bit about you
awesome.
and what you do for NARTS.
Okay, perfect. My name is Amy Odom, and I am the Director of Marketing and Operations for NARTS. I handle the annual certifications for our registrants. So Annette and I work very closely together due to the continuing education, because they are required to have continuing education to renew their registry with us. In addition, I also produce Directions Magazine, and everyone can visit our website, which is narts.org. And then on the homepage, there is a button or a box that says Directions. And this latest issue has you, Tina. So the timing is absolutely perfect. Each issue of Directions magazine actually features a clinician, a consumer, a supplier, and then someone who works on the manufacturing side. And it also has a lot of clinical information. So we really and truly try to give you some human interest, but also filter in some clinical knowledge and clinical education, because there is an article in each issue that is very, very clinical in nature, and it has the ability for the individual to get CEUs. So Directions is produced 6 times annually. We have a group of individuals who help guide the areas in which, what the focus will be for each issue. And I obviously want to give a big shout out to our advertisers, because without them, we could not produce the quality magazine that we do.
That's incredible, and I haven't actually seen the article yet. I just heard about it tonight that it's actually been published, so I am definitely looking forward to it. Can you? The website has just posted, so go to that website and click directions, and then you can go and find the article, and then send it to me, because I haven't seen it yet, so I'm going to have to go search it after the show tonight.
I
am very, very excited. Oh, I'm excited!
Yes, I
cannot wait.
Yes. Great pictures too.
Oh, thank you. I'm looking forward to it. Annette, tell us a little bit about, because I came to be about knowing about all of this from your town hall meetings. So why don't you tell everybody a little bit about that and how they can get involved?
All right. We joined with a group of wheelchair users. Started out with people who had been to Washington, D.C. to advocate for legislation, and we decided we would just get together and talk about how we could advocate at home and try to get local representatives on board with passing legislation. And so we were going to meet about once every 3 months. And after our very first meeting, it was so exciting, and everybody got on board with it, and we had great conversation. So we decided that we would meet once a month. So this has been going on for over a year now, and we have had monthly meetings with what we want to do. The group is called Unite for CRT, and it's an effort to join wheelchair users, wheelchair suppliers, wheelchair manufacturers, clinicians who help in the evaluation process, or maybe, are providing rehab for people. It's a way to get all these people together, caregivers, family, friends, local representatives, anybody who is interested in making sure that everyone has the best equipment possible, and making sure that everyone has access to restaurants, stores, homes. We want to make sure that everyone's needs are met. And so that's why we encourage anyone to attend our town hall meetings, because every single meeting, I learn something new, and we have the best conversation. People are bouncing ideas off of each other, and everybody's just real excited to get together and talk about issues that are facing them daily. And a physical therapist might have an issue, and a wheelchair user might answer her question and give her a little bit of insight. And it's always good when people get together and bounce ideas off of each other. So we've had some great topics. In December, next week, December the 15th, we have a town hall meeting, and it is going to be led by Jenny Siegel and Karen Roy, surviving the holidays. So everybody bring your tips and advice about how you make it through the holidays, maybe some great experiences you've had, or maybe some little bumps that you might have encountered. We'll talk about those. And then in January, we're going to be talking about innovation in the wheelchair world. And in February, we're going to be talking about basically getting a legislative update. What's going on as far as legislation, what kind of bills we're trying to get in front of Congress right now.
It sounds great. And how can people register for that, or how can they get involved? What is the website, or how do they, contact you to be part of that?
You can visit our NARTS website, narts.org. Go to the Unite for CRT tab at the top of the page, and when you click on that, you should be able to get any information that you need there. You can register for the town hall meetings. That link doesn't change each month. It stays the same. You can also sign up for our email list, because we do send out weekly emails sort of updating people on Unite for CRT, and also our NARTS updates, because all of that, it's all sort of tied together. So we want everybody to get a chance to read our e-blast each week.
Yeah, I mean, I've met so many wonderful people being part of the town hall meetings. They're so informative, and it's from, like you said, disability people, OT, PTs, regular people, distributors, technology. It's people from across the board, of anybody who has anything to do with accessibility or access or anything. I think they're absolutely great, and I think everybody should be part of that. Amy, what do you think some of the most important parts or aspects of NARTS that people should know about? Oh, you got to take off on mute.
From the consumer side or the supplier side?
Either.
Okay, from the consumer side, okay, well, I'll talk about the supplier, and then I'm going to toss it to Weesey, because she was a supplier at one point, and she can talk a little bit better about that than I can. But basically, one of the single largest advantages for our suppliers who are part of our organization is our education. We've got more than 100 webinars, CEU articles that individuals can use to to certify their, my goodness, I'm moving too quickly. We've got more than 100 avenues of education for people to be awarded CEUs to use toward their RESNA ATP and toward their NARTS registration. And the suppliers, as far as NARTS is concerned, it is the only organization that is specifically designed for the supplier. Now I'm going to toss it to Weesey to talk about why that is important for the consumers.
Weesey, you're up.
Okay. I would like to go back to something you said earlier, Tina, about selecting the components on your chair. I think it's important, if you understand the standard of practice that suppliers work under, that the consumer's goals are paramount. And so that you should always feel like you have a say in what type of equipment you get. And I know, funding is always a struggle with insurance companies, and trying to make them understand, why this is necessary. There are many medical models that look at what's called medically necessary, but we understand that functional need is just as important as medical need. And I can go into that more, but you probably know exactly what I'm talking about, right? That you might need a seat elevation on your power chair so that you can reach the cabinets or turn the stove on safely, or transfer from different heights safely. And so as an organization, NARTS is run by a board of directors. My boss is the board of directors. They're all working registrants, and they give us that feedback. And so we are constantly working on projects. Like right now, we're trying to make sure that a lot of people are using telehealth services, and suppliers want to be able to use those remote services as well, because think of how much faster you can get service on your chair if the technician can see the chair, see the problem before they have to send somebody out to your home or whatever. So that's one thing. Another project we're working on is developing a better standard of documentation. And as a supplier, that was the least most fun part of my job. It was not fun at all. And I just don't think that I think the documentation is overburdensome at times and really causes delay in people getting the equipment that they need. And so that's why, as an organization, we can represent this group of people. It gives us a louder voice, and it gives us the resources to make changes, and that's very, very important. And this initiative that Annette started with Unite for CRT gives us that additional input from the people who use the equipment every day. And that's why, when you talk about going for a wheelchair, going to an evaluation, it's a team effort, and everybody has to give pieces of information to put it all together and come out with the best outcome. And so, kind of in a nutshell, that's what we're about, is bringing new people up to train them to understand what their role is, and supporting the supplier and the consumer, and trying to see how we can make changes for better, to make a better world for everyone.
Yeah.
Oh, I hear you, but definitely talking to a supplier who understands your needs and having that rapport, like you said, I mean, you make an appointment for somebody to come out and look at your chair and not have the parts, then you have to make another appointment for them to come back out and bring the parts. And I mean, you're talking weeks in between sometimes, and how frustrating that is when they could just come out here, see what visualize it technology wise, see it, and come out once. And you know what I mean, be able to fix your chair.
Yeah.
What a huge impact that would make.
There's
and
one other benefit. If I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but
no, it's okay.
A lot of people don't realize that part of that documentation is what's called the home evaluation, because they want the payor, the insurance company, they want to know that this equipment will work in your home, and that is the responsibility of the supplier. So having the ability to use remote services to see, how many steps you have, or, you have a ramp, but it's a scary ramp, or it's a ramp that's built to code, or the door, the width of the doorways, the interior of the home, all of that. And I'm very excited about the potential for that, because that means that if I were working with you, Tina, you could take me on a virtual tour of your home, and I'd get a great idea of, you're set up for it or you're not set up for it. And that speeds up the process. And if I could say one more thing about repairs, I think most people would be stunned and shocked if they knew the amount of documentation that some funding sources require for a simple repair. And there really shouldn't, that really shouldn't be like that. You should not it wouldn't be acceptable if I took my car in for repair and they told me, come back in 3 weeks or whatever. So these are things we're working on it, and it's not easy to make those changes, but those are some major
They're
issues.
so necessary, yeah. Because I'll tell you, when I've only been in a wheelchair for 6 years, and first I started with the manual chair, and then we realized I needed a power chair. But when I first got my first power chair, they completely had me in the wrong chair. I was in pain every day. It was not functional for my house. I took out every baseboard in my house because my chair just wasn't functional at all. And the whole idea, I had to laugh when you said scary ramps, because I don't have an improved ramp out in front of my house, because it's just kind of like jerry rigged out there, as we say. So if it's glistening and it's a little icy, we hope we land on the grass and not the driveway or the street. So I get all of that. And yeah, if I could take somebody on a virtual tour of my house, that would make life so much easier and put you in the right equipment right up front, and not have to have those worries or those scary positions at all. I completely 100% agree with you on that. Annette, tell me a little bit more about the website and what different features that they have on the website that people can click through. Like we know, like the directions magazine is there. What else is on the website that would give people a lot of insight?
Well, one thing that we have, and a lot of people don't even know that it's there, is we have case studies that have been published for years. And there you have access to all of those case studies. So every article from Directions that's a medical focus, a rehab case study, is listed on the website. The PDF is listed there. And so you could, if you were interested in if you wanted to know more about a particular disability or a particular seating issue, even that a consumer might have, you could go there and pull that article and download the PDF and print it off or just read it from the website. So that is something that we have that a lot of clinicians use that resource, but it's really available for anyone, suppliers and consumers. Also, we have, of course, you can access our wonderful education from the website. We keep our news and events, try to keep that, we do keep that current. So anytime we have something exciting going on at NARTS, which is all the time, we put that on our news and events page. Then our education, people can go and browse through the library and order education, and that goes directly into their learning portal. We do have live webinars that people can attend so that they can ask the presenter questions while that expert is on hand to offer input, and people in the audience can talk back and forth about the topic when the presenter has finished their presentation. And then we also offer all of those courses on demand. So all of our courses, there is a recording available, which is wonderful, because if you order an on-demand webinar and you decide in 6 months or 7 months you want to go back and review it, it's still there in your learning portal after you order it. And of course, Weezy already mentioned the Registrant Search, which is a wonderful feature. If you were looking, Tina, if you were looking for a supplier in Rhode Island, you could browse by state, by the last name, or if you wanted a particular company, you could go to organization and click there and put in the name of the company, and it would list everyone who is a NARTS registrant. So if they are in our registry, they are listed there along with their contact information, their address, their telephone number. And so it's just a really easy way to, to find somebody in your area if you aren't familiar, if you don't have a regular supplier. We also have a section where we offer course approvals for companies. We are an IACET provider. We went through a really rigorous process to get our IACET. We're an IACET accredited provider of CEUs, so we do approve CEUs for a few other companies, organizations rather, besides NARTS. Of course, a registrant can go onto our website and renew. You can go and look at the requirements for becoming a NARTS registrant there, and you can go ahead and apply online for that if you provide direct services to the consumers and you have enough experience. Let's see, Amy Weezy, can you think of any other things on our website that?
I would like for you to talk about the Keynote Webinar that's open for anyone to attend.
Yes, we're very excited about our Keynote. We started doing this last year, but this year our Keynote is going to kick off our education series for 2021. And it is the wonderful Barry Dean, who has just started a new company. I don't know if you've heard about it, Tina. It's Lucy.
I have.
And it, good. I think the word is out about Lucy. So we're really excited because Barry is going to talk about how his daughter Catherine influenced his wonderful product that's on the market right now, and it's going to be a game changer for people who use power wheelchairs. And so Barry's going to talk about how really how Catherine, of course, has impacted this brand new innovative technology that he's come out with. And that is January 19th. We want everybody to sign up. It's free. You can go to our website, go to the education page, and if you'll scroll down toward the middle of the page, you'll see Barry's picture and a little intro about him, and then a link so that you can go ahead and register. And that will be a virtual meeting, of course, through our Zoom platform. It's at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, January 19th.
Definitely looking forward to that. Amy, you had something to add about the website that we definitely have to be.
Yes. Directions magazine is available at no charge. So individuals can go and subscribe to Directions magazine. We offer it in both digital and in print format. So I encourage your listeners to go and subscribe. Again, it's available at no charge.
And that's definitely on the website. You just go over to the Directions tab.
Yes, ma'am.
Click that, and then you can register.
Scroll
Will that
down.
be emailed to them? But will that be emailed when they register? It'll be emailed to them.
If it's digital, yes. If they register for the print edition, it will mail. I mean, if someone were to register today, they would not get a copy of the magazine until the next time it prints, because it comes out six times annually. But they can view it on the website regardless. But if you want to, but it is emailed. Yes, ma'am.
Can somebody get a past issue? Like, say I wanted a physical copy of this last issue. How would I go about getting that?
Well, because you were in this issue, I'm going to mail you some, but we don't. I'm waiting. Anyway, I'm waiting for the printer to bring me my own my stash, if you will, of magazines. Right. But if you wanted to look at something from a year ago, you can just go onto our website, and all of the past issues are there, and you can print them from there if you want to.
Oh, that's nice. Oh, that's great. I think that, so all of your issues, they don't fall off at some point. They all stay on the website.
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, so see, when everybody has all of this time during this pandemic, you can go and read all of the editions of directions and learn so much while you're sitting at home. You can learn. See that? It's all
Well,
good.
and Tina, I have to say that when we feature consumers slash wheelchair users like yourself, it is very ultimately at the end of the day, the reason we do what we do is because of people like you. It's got to be about you guys, and so I am so humbled and motivated at the same time after reading the Life on Wheels stories because they're unbelievable stories. So,
You meet incredible people and get a glimpse into their world when you get to read, because I went back and I read some of the old articles, and you're inspired every day, because as bad as you think you have it, somebody has it worse and somebody has overcome more, and it just inspires you to keep going every day. Speaking of that, what inspires you to keep going every day, Annette? We'll start with you.
Oh, wow. Well, I've been with NARTS 5 years now, and I came from an education background. I retired from teaching elementary children. So when I came to work for NARTS, I went in a somewhat different direction because I suddenly was working with adults and not with children, even though it was still in the technology area. But I love NARTS, and I love the people. I love our board members. I love our suppliers, our consumers, and I am inspired, like Amy said, every day by the passion that they show for what they do. And like she says, when she was talking about the Life on Wheels articles, and Tina, I know you've read, you said that you had read some of them too. When I went back and read those, I'm just amazed. I really am, because we have a lot of happy people in this industry, and it's just wonderful to work with people every day. And we work really hard. We know that our suppliers work really hard, so we work really hard to make their life easier, and we try to do as much as we can to make it easy for them to get their education. And if they're having technical issues, we want to try to iron those out if we can. And it's just it's a great industry. It really is.
Yeah. Wheezy, how about you? What inspires you to keep going every day and to do everything that you do for this community?
Well, every day, let's see. Actually, Tina, the truth is, and I worked as a supplier in Atlanta for over 25 years. And during that time, a lot of my clients, I knew them for 25 years. And when it came time for my husband and I wanted to move away from Atlanta, and we were building a home, and I knew that I was retiring, and I was really sad. I was happy about where we were going, but I was sad that I was leaving all that behind. And so it was almost like a divine intervention, that this job opened up, and the board had faith that I could take over. As our executive director, whom we all admired and looked up to, was ill, and he had to step down. So it was, I thought, can I fill his shoes? And he counseled me for several months as I took over. And I thought it would be an interim thing, but as I mentioned earlier, it's been 7 years. And here's the thing, there's so much that needs to be fixed, improved, added, changed, whatever. As you know, anybody who deals with this knows that. And having this strong board, they're dedicated, they support us, and it just makes you, want to do as much as you possibly can. And having this new a group of people from Canada, they are so excited to have this to be part of. And it's like, why did it take so long? And we're just flooded with applications from the Canadians. And I'm really excited to see how that's going to impact the organization as a whole, because it's going to make us bigger and stronger, right? And then last thing is that the past 2 years, NARTS has been working on a certificate program, and that is designed to be that entry-level education so that we can bring new people into the industry. It's such a niche profession that most people don't even know this even exists. And how would you know unless you needed it or you knew someone that needed it? And it's what I always say, and I think Annette and Amy would agree, is there's a passion that you have for what you do. And if you don't have that passion, you don't last very long, because it's a hard road to go to make everybody happy. It's almost impossible, right, to make everybody happy.
Yeah. Well, it's the words that say, if you enjoy and love what you do, you don't work a day in your life. And I know I don't work a day in my life because I absolutely, truly embrace and enjoy every single aspect of what I do. So I don't work. I just have fun. And it so inspires me. And I hate using the word inspiration because, when people just like look at you because you're in a wheelchair and like, oh, you're such an inspiration. I'm like, why? Because my hair's brushed and my clothes match and I have shoes on. Check me out in an hour. I may not look like this, because when you don't feel your feet, forgetting shoes is a real thing. And sometimes my hair isn't brushed because it's just way too much work. So yeah. But we are inspiring with some of the things we do. But what I love to do is seeing able-bodied people and disabled people all with a common goal, all working together, all for the same reason, being inspired by each other, because there's so many able-bodied people that inspire me every day because they go out of their way for our community, that it works both ways. Amy, what inspires you to be part of this and to do everything that you do?
Well, the reality is, Tina, I have been with the NARTS as an employee since 2002. So I have been, WEC's the second, actually third executive director, if you will, that I have worked for. But truly what inspires me, because I deal so heavily with the suppliers, that they're getting beat up day in and day out with, like WEC's talked about, it's just such a tough job. When they call me and I can actually help them and I hear the relief in their voice because I try to calm them down, they inspire me. It's as simple as that. And then because of this job and because of this industry, I've been in this industry for 25 years now, 20, I don't know, more than that. And I have met so many wonderful people, both able-bodied and those in chairs, and traveled the country and just gotten to, you guys, I mean, I've got several consumer advocates, as I refer to them, that are friends of mine that, I love to connect with and I love to chat with them. And the same thing with the suppliers. I mean, it's almost like we're one big happy family. And to echo what WEC said about having Canada join us, they are beyond excited to be part of our organization. So I'm inspired by suppliers, just because they are, they're doing their best to make sure you guys are cared for. And sometimes that's just not easy.
So
No, I don't think any of this is easy because I believe it's a frustrating thing from both sides. The supplier is trying to do the right thing by the consumer, and the consumer is trying to do the best thing. And I know the frustration of the chair doesn't work, or the chair's not doing what I need it to do, or the chair's not. But if you positively advocate for yourself and you understand that they're doing their best and they're truly trying, and have a conversation without the aggravating or the accusations or the attitude, and when do it with a smile, you're going to get a lot further. The supplier's going to work harder. You're going to be happier, and we are stronger together, and we all need each other, and we all need to understand everybody has a bad day. You're having a bad time with your supplier today, hang up, call them back in an hour, hang up, call them back tomorrow, try again, because realize you're not a pleasant person all the time either. And sometimes people want to hang up and talk to you at another time. I know people want to do that to me daily, depending on my mood. So just be kind, just be courteous, just have some patience and some understanding, and you will get to your end goal. Weezy, can you say anything on that from the supplier's point of view? Am I right, or
No, Tina, those are really good points, and it's critical to have a good relationship with your supplier. As I think of it as, I want to have a good relationship with the person that cuts my hair, right? I want to have a conversation. And when you work with a supplier, it's the beginning of a really a long relationship, right? Because you're going to need those services, ongoing. And your expectation is, as you said, treat that person with respect, but they should treat you with respect, and also participate in this process. And someone pointed out a long time ago that it's a crazy transaction that you're involved in, because as a supplier, I have to make you, the customer, happy, right? I have to make the clinician working with you happy, and I have to make the insurance company happy, that we're getting you exactly what you need. And so it's a fine line there. And so if you can know, I'll just use this as an example of when I would work in clinic and the person would come in and they would say, well, you're the expert, you just tell me. And I'm like, no, you're the one that's going to live with this piece of equipment that we determined for you. Think of it like a pair of shoes. Do you want high heels or you want tennis shoes? It's, and that's a silly analogy, I understand, but I have to understand what your lifestyles are and your expectations, and then my job is to meet what your needs are, period. And you may have to contact your insurance company and light a fire under them sometimes. You might have to contact the doctor who didn't sign the whatever documentation. So you be involved and have that mutual respect with the supplier, and I think it will go a long way. And I realize that wheelchairs, there's all kinds of ways to look at that. You now have this need for a wheelchair, and especially you, Tina, you went through most of your life, and then you were faced with having to make a decision about what kind of chair I want. And so again, like a pair of shoes, you would try them on before you purchased them. Correct? So try things and see what works best for you.
Well, that's what I say. I believe that my wheelchair is like that comfy sweatsuit that you want to be in, and it's got to be comfy, and it's got to just fit you, and it's got to make you feel all
That's
warm and
right.
cozy inside. And
That's true.
if you don't like your supplier, everybody doesn't mesh together. You can always try another one. Don't feel like you're disappointing anybody, because certain people just don't work well together, or they just don't see eye to eye. That's the whole point of having many registrants in your state and your service, is try another one. Try another one that you may mesh with, that you, it's like finding the right shrink to talk to. You know what I mean? You got to find that right person that gets you. You know, I mean, Amy, what do you have to add to that?
Well, one thing that I was going to add is that my wonderful boss, Miss Weesey Walker, also taught me years ago, do not be afraid to ask questions. So I think that, that goes as far as if the consumer is needing some assistance, and in my particular case, it was with my grandmother and health and long and boring, that the one thing that Weesey taught me is you have to advocate for yourself and do not be concerned about asking questions. If you don't understand something, ask the question. And so I have really carried that with me. And, I still use it. In fact, I'm sure sometimes Weesey and Annette would be like, Amy, would you please stop asking questions? Because I ask, so many questions all the time. But that said, I think it's even more critical when, like Weesey was saying, to make sure that your chair fits you, like that comfortable pair of shoes or that comfortable sweatsuit. I mean, ask questions. If it's not right, ask questions. So.
Right. I totally agree. Annette, I want you to sum up in 1 minute what NARTS means to you, and the biggest point that people need to take home today. The most important thing about NARTS that you believe that people should take home and remember today.
Well, I was just thinking when Amy and Weesey and you were talking, Tina, that, you don't know what you don't know, right? So I think that it's really important, of course, to advocate for yourself, but also you're going to be a better advocate for yourself if you're educated. So be sure that you visit our website and pull those articles and read those case studies, and even attend our webinars, because I cannot tell you how much I've learned by just sitting there, pushing the record button. But I sit there and listen to these speakers, and I have learned so much. And it's sad to me, Tina, that a lot of people don't realize that they should have a chair that fits them and that is customized for them. And, they shouldn't have to be miserable in their chair. And they do, there's certain things that they need on their chair that's going to make their life better, that's going to help them go to work every day, that's going to, make it easier for them to go to the ballpark with their families. And so it's really important that people know about your disability, learn about your disability, and like Amy was saying, ask questions. And that's probably more than a minute, so I'll stop.
Weesey, give us your 1 minute summary of the most important thing you want people to remember about NARTS.
Well, I want them to remember that the services that are provided to you should meet your need. And as you suggested, if the supplier you're working with isn't listening to you, or you're not feeling the warm fuzzies with that person, look and see if there's somebody else in your area. And it's a human nature thing, like you said, because the suppliers that I know out there are, like I said, they're passionate about what they do. They put in long hours every day, trying to, meet people's needs, and you deserve to have that kind of service for your wheelchair and seating needs.
Well, thank you. Amy, give us your 60-second summary of the most important thing about NARTS for you.
The most important thing about NARTS to me is the people, period. The able-bodied individuals, our suppliers, our wheelchair users, our therapists, our manufacturers. To me, I think that's our biggest asset is the people, because as Weesey said, they're caring and they're motivated, and they all have an end goal. So that is what I like most about my job, is the people.
That's awesome. And I know NART is a big supporter of our Red Bag initiative from RAMP, carrying all of your medical information on you at all times that's non-tech based. And we have sent some of those out for you guys so that way everybody can be a Red Bag carrier. So make sure you're going to www.rampisinclusion.com and grab your Red Bag today. And also make sure you're visiting nrrts.org. Make sure you're reading the articles. Make sure you're checking out the resources. Make sure you're signing up for the town hall meetings and the webinars. And do not miss the webinar on January 19th, I believe, at 7 p.m. Am I correct? Off the top of my head,
yes.
Look at that, I remembered. But make sure you're checking out all of the wonderful things that not only these three wonderful women, but I'm telling you, I have met so many incredible people. Actually, I've had many of them on my podcast, so other people have been able to meet these wonderful people as well. So check it out. You will not be disappointed. Whether you're able-bodied, whether you have a family member who has a disability, whether you have a disability, or you never know, you could end up like me and down the road end up in this amazing community, because we are an amazing community, and we do amazing things. We just do it differently. So make sure you're checking out all of that again. Again, it's nrrts.org. Check it out. And thank you so much, ladies, for taking the time out and sharing your passion with us and sharing your community with us. And we are so blessed to have you with us all tonight. And I'm so glad to call you all my friends and my advocates along with me for everything that we do. So thank you very, very much. And I will see you guys all here next Wednesday. If it's not next Wednesday, we'll see you at the first of the year, depending on how my Wi-Fi decides to work at the new house. So thank you all for being with us tonight, and I appreciate you. Happy holidays, everybody.
Thank you.
Good night. Thanks, Tina.
Good night.
Good night.